Okay, guys, welcome back to Let's Get Freaky podcast. We're excited to welcome Herbert to the show. Herbert, how are you, man? Thank you very much for being here.
Good, good. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. We've talked on X on social media for quite a long time. We've gone
Hmm.
back and forth, waiting for the right time to do this, and
Yeah,
the time is now. And I'm very
yeah,
excited to finally meet you and to get into your experiences, man.
yeah, yeah. No, it's perfect. It really was. The time is now. I was telling the fiance, I was like, I was gonna wait until after Christmas, and I was like, I got like 4 or 5 days of nothing planned, so why not just do it now?
Perfect, perfect. And you said it's snowing outside as well, so you're trapped
Yeah, it's
indoors.
been snowing all day. The kids have not had school since I think last Wednesday. I'm not happy about that.
That sounds amazing. Snow days are the
Yeah,
best, man.
yeah.
Oh,
Not when you got to shovel a really long driveway,
yeah, I bet.
and then it snows again on top of it. I'm like, why to do this? Yeah.
So, do you want to just give us a brief introduction about yourself, and then we'll get into your experiences?
Yeah, yeah, sure. I'm, normal guy. I'm 36 years old now. I'm from Nova Scotia, east side of Canada. I grew up in a really, really tiny coal mining town. Like, if you weren't a coal miner, your dad wasn't a coal miner, your dad was a fisherman. And if you weren't either of those, you were poor and on welfare type of thing. Really tiny town, really cool town, spooky. Silent Hill?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So my town, every night at 8:30 every single night plays an air raid siren, and it sounds exactly like Silent Hill. I'm not joking. You can look it up. It
No
is
way.
absolutely terrifying. New Waterford is the name of the town.
Whoa, why'd they do that?
Yeah,
Just want to.
it just done that for like over 100 years. One reason was used to be the coal miners. Someone got injured in the coal, like in the coal mine, like either dead or some type of injury. They'd play that and let everyone know that that happened. And it turned into like this curfew thing. Everyone in town's like, you tell their kids, be home by 8:30. And the 8:30 whistle would blow and you'd get home. And
Whoa,
one day I came home when the 8:30 whistle went off, and it was actually like 11 o'clock at night. And the 8:30 whistle was wrong, so I didn't get grounded.
oh wow,
Yeah. Yeah, but
oh,
no, like it's kind of just like that. Also, kind of maybe I'm not sure if this is true, but I heard a lot of people in town said it was like kind of a World War II thing as well, because the coast of the town did have encampments and stuff like that during World War II for like spotting ships out in the water and stuff like that.
hmm,
So a lot of history there like that. There's a lot of war encampments you can get to. A lot of them you got to go through the woods to get to, but the hear the whistle part about the town is terrifying. It's
I
You
bet.
can hear it in every single part of the town. It is like my fiance when she first met me a couple years ago. If I didn't tell her about that, she would have left. She would never have spoken to me again, probably. But yeah,
And that happens
no,
every night.
yeah, every single night. It's never missed
Wow.
a beat. Yeah, I don't live there anymore. I moved away. I love that town, but it's a lot of people there. Are just
Hmm.
if you leave the town, you're either everyone hates you because you left, or they're waiting for you to come back.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but no, I grew up there. It was just a coal mining town. It actually, before it was called New Orleans, it used to be called Barishwa.
Hmm.
It's just heavily in coal mining, and well, not anymore. The mine shut down in the 90s. My dad was a coal miner there. The pit actually collapsed on my dad, and he got trapped under like a mine cart. The cart saved his life, but it like almost crushed his back.
Whoa.
So everyone I knew growing up, their dad were a coal miner, and then everyone's dad had no work because Devco closed the mines.
Man.
And
Yeah, that's a
yeah, then that's
wild.
how it was.
That is a dangerous game, man, isn't it? That is a very
Oh
dangerous
yeah, I
game.
wouldn't do it. Yeah, I'm not afraid of anything, but I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Tough
yeah.
work,
No,
man.
I grew up there. It was fine. It was actually really really nice. A lot of tourists come in the summers because Cape Breton is huge for tourism. Like
Hmm.
the Cabot Trail is absolutely beautiful. I've done that every year. Like one thing, Cabot Trail, you go do that in like the summer or autumn, you'll probably shed a tear at how beautiful it is. It's
Oh
beautiful.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got to
This
get over there, man.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. No,
Yeah.
there's that's where I grew up, and everything was fine, and then around the age of six, I say six, it's roughly 6 or 7. My dad told me it's around 7. I remember it as six, so I just say 6 or 7. It was around that time that you know, I I kind of started having these weird sensations, like you get like a tingling up the back of your neck, and I didn't know what it was back then. I didn't know what tinnitus was, but I now know. Like I get tinnitus in my left ear. Anytime something's gonna happen, I find I get tinnitus. Like if it's high strangeness or what people say would be, ghost activity, I'll get tinnitus in my ear. And
Hmm.
it's kind of a certain pitch or octave, I'll say. But yeah, I grew up in that small town, and these weird things started happening. I had an over imaginative imagination, is what everyone told me, and that turned into me going, I don't think this is my imagination. Like, I straight up, things were happening that were just too weird. And like, I was a very sheltered kid, and like, I had friends, but I didn't go and do a lot. I didn't leave my yard. Like, it was a great town. Like, there was barely any violence, but I just didn't really leave my town. I had a lot of speech problems as a kid. I couldn't hear well. I was in speech therapy and hearing therapy for 10 years. I never used to be able to talk normally or do anything really. So, like, things were weird. And I remember I got a surgery because I needed my tonsils and adenoids out. It was a great time. It was a great time. Ate ice cream. I had a bunch of pretty nurses waiting on me hand and foot. I was in love because that's the type of kid I was. I was like, oh, a bunch of pretty nurses taking care of me. And I was at the hospital in like a day and a half, 2 days. I healed really quickly, really quickly. And then after that, that's like when everything just kind of exploded and started taking, like, I'll say, a downhill turn. Now, I'm not going to say everything's been horrible, but you don't want to wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh, I can't control what's happening to me. And it doesn't matter what person, it doesn't matter if it's my parents, it doesn't matter if it's the cops, the military, it doesn't matter who it is. They can't stop them from taking me. So it was terrifying as a kid.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, what was your first memories of what was
Oh,
happening?
we were just after moving. I moved from one spot to another spot, and my whole world was over because I was like, I'm never going to see my friends again. Um, this is horrible. And like 2 days later, I was like, this is the best thing ever. And we lived in the town, the small town. We have like power poles that were everywhere. And we lived next to I might get the word wrong, but like an electrical substation. So all the power in town was routed through the substation next to the train tracks. And this is back in the 90s, and it's like you can walk right up and just touch the substation. And that happened a few times, and a couple of people died, and then they were like, we got to put a fence around this. Yeah. Like,
Oh,
I'm glad I wasn't dumb enough and I didn't do something like that. But yeah, we lived next to the substation, and you can hear like the sizzling in the air, the electricity in the air, and kind of like almost like I don't know if this is the name of it, but it was kind of like you'd see like a corona ejection, like a corona mass from the top of the poles near that, like blue electrical ejections. I think that's a corona mass ejection, something like that. And we're after moving there, and I woke up one night, and in like a thunder and lightning storm, you get a flash. It's dark, everything goes white for half a second. It was
hmm.
like that. Tower wasn't out though, but always slept with the lights off. And I'd see a flash, but the flash was like blue, and I'm like, oh. As a little kid, I'm like, oh, it's a thunderstorm. I'm gonna go get my dad because we loved watching the thunderstorms. My mom hated them, but we loved them. Next thing I know, I feel this like really, really like what I would say now as an adult, like a strong, compelling force telling me as a little boy to go to the window. And I'm 6 to 7 at this point, just going, okay, I'm gonna go look at the window. And every time a flash happened, it was like a bluish white filled my room and then darkness. But it wasn't like a flash, it was like a spinning light was coming through the window and filling my room. Um, And so I go and look out the window, and I kind of see this light off over, not directly over the substation, but a little bit adjacent to it. Either to the left or to the right. I'm not 100% sure. But and it was basically like, for lack of a better word, stereotypical classic UFO saucer. The only difference was the bottom part of the saucer had what looked like a bunch of lights that were lit up, or it was one big light that had independent lights going up in random sequences around it. And I kept going, like shocked, didn't know what I was looking at, and for some reason, I didn't hear anything in my head. It wasn't like, I was getting a message saying, you need to go outside. It wasn't anything like that. I felt like I needed to then go outside. I left my room. I walked outside. Door wasn't locked. No one locked their doors back then. No one. Different story nowadays, but no one locked the doors back then. I walked outside, 6 years old. Um, Sometime in the middle of between, I'll say, August and October. It's not that warm. And probably would have terrified my mother if she would have woken up and saw this. She'd be like, "Oh my God, where's my son?" So I go outside, and the back door of my house led to the back of the property, and you just walk to the right, and you're literally the distance from, like, maybe 10 feet, maybe, and you're at the train track. That's how close I live to the train. Like, you could look out the window and spit on the train, basically. That's how close I was. So I'd look over at the train track, and I can't see this UFO. It's gone. So I can't see it. I'm like looking around, and I keep on walking. And I get to about the train tracks and all the rocks next to it. And I know not to stand in the center of the train track because I got my foot caught one day as a kid on the train track, and I almost got run over by a train. And I was a horrible little kid in the way of I was naughty. Me and the buddies would, we go put pennies on the train track and get the penny was flatten out. And a buddy of ours actually tipped the train. Uh, I don't know how he did it. He got a bunch of rocks up and he did that. And I learned my lesson, almost get run over, to never mess around with the train tracks. So I didn't go on the center part. I stayed on the outline, like on the rocks. And that's not even safe, but still. And I'm looking around, and I don't see it at first. And the train tracks go one way and the other way, and to the left, away from my house, is basically into the woods and goes down towards where I used to live. And I see up in the sky the UFO, which at this point I don't know what that is, because I don't even know what the UFO is at this point, nothing like that. And it looks like all I can see is like these two lights because it's so blinding, and they start coming towards me, and I'm sure it was like a second or less. But to me, it was the longest experience of my life. Never, nothing has ever felt that long. And it was like these two lights were rushing towards me, almost like the lights of a train. And I knew a train didn't go that at that hour because all the trains there did was they ran coal from the power plant out to a wash station, and then it got taken up, and that coal got shipped down into Boston or something like that, and they sold the coal off. So I knew it wasn't a train, but I didn't know what I was like really. My mind couldn't comprehend what I was looking at. I was this little kid. Next thing I know, I blink, and it's not there. And when I look up, it's like not directly over me, but it's kind of like a slight angle over me. And I start feeling and kind of hearing a crackling, almost like the power substation. And I get that sensation, and I feel that, and all the hair on my body starts kind of standing up. And even as a little boy, I was a hairy boy. Like, I'm hairy now. Like, I got a lot of hair on my body. And as a little kid, all that hair is standing up on my body, kind of like, you put a rubber balloon on your head.
Hmm.
And then your hair stands up, and the balloon, you can get the balloon to stick to a wall or the ceiling. It was like that. Way more intense, obviously. And the next thing I know, it almost feels like I'm being lifted, but I'm not really lifted. Just kind of like I'm slightly up. And then I black out. And that was like I saw that all that happened. I black out. And then the next part of it is like I'm on the ship, so to say.
Whoa,
Yeah. And I'm six.
man. Can I ask how
Yeah.
big the UFO was that you saw?
Yeah, sure. Hard to tell, but I would I gauge it around. I don't have like dimensions for you, but
Hmm.
think of like a crop dusting biplane,
Hmm.
like a small biplane,
Yeah.
like not like or even like a small like twin engine passenger jet, like a private plane. Like it wasn't huge.
Hmm.
I can't say like how big. Like obviously as I got older, I looked into things and like the classic Bob Lazar saucer,
Hmm.
roughly about twice that size
Wow.
is what it looked like initially. And it's just hard for me to gauge the actual size because to me, when I think of like a crop dusting plane that I've seen, they're quite large. But it wasn't like a 747. But it
Hmm.
was about, I'd say, one and a half to twice the size of like that Bob Lazar classic sports model.
Hmm. Wow, man. So then, in that same instance, you woke up on the ship.
Yeah, I don't know how much time really has passed at this point. You know, I wake up on the ship, but yeah, I did wake up on the ship.
Wow. What did you see, man? What did it look like?
When I'm on the ship itself. Um, okay, how I describe this, and there might be a better way of describing it, is you ever look, people have like LED lights everywhere, like you got in your back corner there.
Hmm.
Think that green LED light on in the corner of your room, but you don't see the light, you're just seeing the glow, the soft glow. It's like that soft white glow is everywhere, but you can't differentiate where the light's coming from. I can't tell where any of the light's coming from. I just see a light. It's like a source is there of light. I don't know how to describe it other than that. It's like maybe there's a bunch of LED strips that are invisible. But yeah, there's a light that like almost beautiful, piercing white light. Um, I can't see an angle anywhere. There's no right angles. I can't see nothing. I can't even really discern a shape. It's like there's perfectly round inside. There's no walls that I could go, oh, here's a right angle. I met the wall. Like now I'm going a different. No, none of that. Because I awake, I'm a little boy, and I'm like, I don't know what just happened to me. I thought maybe, whatever, and I woke up in the hospital. I don't know. And I see the lights, and then I get up off my feet, and I'm kind of like, I don't feel so good. I just feel heavy and exhausted and like winded, like I've been running for 10 to 15 minutes straight, like running around with my friends or something. And I start hearing like I don't little clicking, clacking, almost like footsteps, not like shoes on the floor, but like footsteps. You can hear a little bit of noise. So I'm hearing that. I see the glow. I see the piercing white light, and I can't tell what I'm standing on. I can't tell if it's metal, wood, none of that. I just know I am standing on something. This room looks endless, infinite. I can't tell where the beginning or end is. I can't tell if I'm in a corner or in the center. So there's a lot to take in at that young age.
Hmm. I bet, man. Wow. Did you see entities? Did you see?
Yeah, yeah. I did. I didn't want to go and rant on you, but like in
Hmm.
at any time interject, ask whatever you want. But yeah, like so I get up off the floor. I'm looking around and I hear the like noises and I get this sensation up the back of my neck again. And I hear a ringing in my ear, which I heard outside. I failed to mention that when I was outside and I saw it. I could hear the ringing too. And that still to this day persists. But so I get up and get my bearings, so to say, and I hear the noises. And at first, I see feet. And the best way I can describe it is let's just say, like, I don't know if you have kids or not, but like
Hmm.
a 6-year-old's foot, 6 to 8-year-old's foot,
Hmm.
tiny little. gray feet, and not like dull, like, if I didn't know what it was. And then I'm like scanning, and everything is so intense on my eyes. It's almost like like if you look at the light too long and you get the red like burn into your eyes, and you got to wait for it to adjust. So I'm seeing, like, I see feet, and I look around, and I'm seeing shadows and outlines of what looks like little kids to me, because everything's still burning into my eyes in a sense. So I'm like, oh, maybe I'm at, St. Rita's Hospital, which is where I got my surgery, and something happened. I'm playing with kids, and I just woke up or something. And my eyes adjust. I'm like this, and I realize from maybe me to 4, 5, 6 feet away, there is what looked like a child in height and stature, body dimensions, but it is a gray, but not like dark gray, like a softer gray alien. It didn't look evil or anything like that. It wasn't like, didn't have teeth. I didn't see no teeth. And it was just kind of like looking at me like, I was like dumbfounded, like, oh, I shouldn't be awake, or no reaction on its face other than like almost kind of surprised, just kind of surprised. And next thing I know, it walks away. I hear like a noise, almost like a bang on something or whatever, and I guess a door opened, and 4 or 5 come in. So at this point, there's 4 or 5 in the room, and I can't really remember if one of them left or not. So I'm just going to say 4 or 5, and they're all the same height. And then they all move towards me, and at this point, shitting bricks. Like,
Yeah, I
little
bet,
kid,
man.
don't know what has happened to me, and it's like at this point, the most traumatic thing that's ever happened to me was a bunch of pretty nurses were feeding me ice cream. That was the most traumatic thing in my life. So I'm shitting bricks. I'm sorry for the
No, it's
language,
okay,
but
man. No problem.
um, and it almost, and I this is how I describe it. They move towards me, but it's not like they're running. Their arms are on me, like one arm is under here. It's almost like they're linked up, and they're going to usher me towards something. And they move me over to another part of the room, and there's nothing there. And I turn to look at them, type of deal. And when I turn back to the way I was facing, there's now like a slab. I won't say it's iron or anything. It's like a medical bed that wasn't there. And I don't know if it just, I couldn't see it or it materialized. I don't know. But it wasn't there, then it was. In maybe a matter of 6 seconds, maybe 10 at most. And the whole time this is happening, and they're like scurrying around, I still have the sensation that it's like, are these children? Is this like some type of costume? I don't know what to think as a kid. And, but the one thing that stuck out in my mind then, and still to this day, is I felt like a piece of mail in a mail room with a bunch of people who worked at the post office.
Interesting.
That's how I felt. Like I was just another piece of mail getting sorted and cataloged.
Interesting, man.
Yeah, I was very insignificant, is how I felt.
Did all these entities look exactly the same, or was there slight
Exactly
differences?
exactly the same. Any slight differences is what I will say. Like if you look at your hand and like your my hand, let's say, they're similar, but if
Hmm.
you look at the skin of the hand, our skin should be different.
Hmm.
They had it wasn't that they had different like color variation to the skin, but it was just you could tell that what I was looking at wasn't just like a plastic mold of a costume. It was slight little things like that. The
Hmm.
skin felt almost the skin almost had a feeling to it, like I say, and this might sound crazy, but like marshmallows.
Hmm.
That when you hold a marshmallow, that almost chalky feeling to it,
Yes. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. It was like that. That's how
Interesting.
the skin kind of felt like, and it was like flaky, but not flaky. Like their skin wasn't flaking off, but
Hmm.
it just you could tell that the skin wasn't. this perfect like, oh, they're model aliens, like they're right out of a model magazine. They weren't like that. Like they had
Hmm.
some imperfections. They had um trying to remember the name of it. They had I forget the name right now, but I know it'll come to me. Their their eyes around here, they
Hmm.
had an arch, which is similar to what we have because it's a bone inside that keeps your eye in place, sort of, so to
Hmm.
say. They had that, and so they had features that were like they weren't these perfect, plastic dolls, and
Hmm.
someone threw consciousness inside of them. And I'm not saying that isn't the case for some of them. I'm not saying that like what I experience is the only way, but what
Hmm.
I experience is what I experience.
Interesting, man.
Hmm.
Did they look like like we've got the typical alien look that a lot of us have. Like I've got it on the logo. The typical grey alien look. Is that how they looked? Like the face?
Yeah, very similar, but what I'll say is their face was like that, or like like that on my shirt.
Hmm.
But they had a more I'll say like soft look, like almost like I was looking at just the child version, I guess maybe of an alien. They're more friendly looking, like soft features. They didn't have like a roughness, or like their faces weren't like very thin and
Hmm.
squeezed in and skin stretched over a skull kind of thing.
Hmm.
They weren't fat, but they didn't look very thin faced, and they weren't overtly scary, is what I'll
Hmm.
say.
Interesting. They had the big black eyes that
Yes,
we
big
see.
black eyes. Yeah,
Interesting, man. And
and no real mouth. It was like a slit and two little dots for a nose.
interesting. Were they wearing like clothing?
No, not all of them, but some were. What was interesting about that, I've never told anyone this. I've never even wrote this down, and like I've had people read like my experience, but I've never told people this. One was in like from here down, like blue, like a blue jumpsuit kind of thing, and another one had the same thing, but it was orange, and there was no insignias or anything like that. One was in just the blue, almost like a diving suit, and one was in orange like a diving suit, and the other ones were just, I guess you would say, naked. And the gray naked skin, that might just be a membrane over them. I don't know.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Interesting, man. And then what did they proceed to work on you? What
yeah.
was they doing?
So at this point, I'm shuffled onto the table, and I'm now getting terrified. And um, one of them was kind of not holding me down. They weren't choking me or anything like that. But one of them was their hand, I got, their hands like this was kind of like right here
Hmm.
on me. They're just trying to hold me, and they weren't. It wasn't like I was getting hurt. I was terrified, and they're holding me down, and all I could see is basically the corner of my eye because I'm being held down, and one's standing over here, just kind of in my peripheral, and it almost looked like they had a needle, and not like a long, long, long needle, but it was long enough. And I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know, I didn't at this age. I didn't know like a anal probe. I didn't know any of that, and I'd never even experienced anything on TV about aliens at this point in my life
Hmm.
or UFOs. So I'm seeing that at the corner of my eye. One's holding my head kind of like this, and I bit down. Being a naughty little kid, I bit down on the hand, and it literally went like recoiled. And when I bit into the hand, it wasn't like I bit into a person. Like there was like a hardness of a flesh there, but it wasn't like, how do I describe it? It was more like, I don't know, you could grab your hand and go like that and you feel the bones. It was more like I was squeezed into like a very durable, I don't know, like material. I didn't feel bones, but it
Hmm.
was hard where bones would be. And my hand, mouth teeth marks kind of like went down, like pressed in, almost like you put your hand on memory foam mattress and it takes a second to recoil back up.
Hmm.
It was kind of like that. It went in and then it recoiled back and like basically walked away. And you could tell it was uncomfortable with what I did. But when I bit it, it wasn't like I bit flesh and bit a piece off and there was blood everywhere.
Hmm.
It was I couldn't break the skin.
Interesting.
Yeah. And at that point, um, I don't know exactly if it's maybe here or around my neck area, but I remember I got whatever the needle was they injected me with the needle. And like I remember I said I felt like winded and I was exhausted, like I was out running for 10 to 15 minutes and I was straight and I was like heavy, like I was not in good shape when I woke up. And I felt pretty good after I got the needle, maybe within like 30 seconds to a minute. But like I got a bunch of energy, like adrenaline, so to say. And I am fighting, and at this point, I'm trying to basically like throw punches at these entities, and I just feel like zonked, like I just got knocked out by a drug for like say anesthesia.
Hmm.
But I wasn't like knocked out. I was just like very calm. And how I'll describe that is as an adult going in for a surgery, like I've broken bones. It was similar, not the same, but similar to um, being given, say, diazepam, a Valium,
Hmm.
and it made me happy and just relaxed. I'm just like, okay, whatever. There was no fight left in me at that point. Um, and then it starts to get a lot more weird after that. So, if there's anything you want to ask,
Man, I mean, that must have been so scary.
yeah,
For
thinking back about that, I don't know how, as a kid, I didn't just like my heart didn't jump out of my chest like a cartoon.
Mhm.
It was terrifying.
But I guess as you
I've
said,
never
you didn't understand you didn't
what was
understand
going on.
aliens. Like you're 6 years old, so
No,
you're not really been seeing these kind of things. So you're trying to work out. You're seeing it for the first time, basically.
yeah, it's like a lot of people throw this phrase around now, like ontological shock.
Hmm.
As a kid, I was no ontological shock. It was the only thing in my mind was I'm going to die, or I don't understand what's happening to me, and I want to get out of here. And I started fighting, and it was still to this day the most terrifying experience of my life. And I've had other things happen to me during like abduction experiences that were way worse, but that was the worst thing that's ever happened because I'm 6 years old.
Hmm.
My world is shattered. I don't know what's happening. Like I don't know what any of that was at that point.
Hmm.
So it was truly terrifying.
Yeah. So you kind of pass out. What's the next phase? What happened next?
So what happens next is I'm kind of I'll say druggy, like kind of high feeling it, I guess you would say. Like I'm very like just lazy and relaxed. And I could hear and I will put it like this. I don't know if I'm hearing someone speak aloud or if I'm hearing someone in my mind talk to me or to me and everyone else in the room. But I start I've sent you this, I've showed people this. When I write it out, like when I was writing the book and like I always tell people, the book isn't really for me to like try and make a bunch of money off of. I just wrote that for me and like that's been done basically. And I just haven't bothered to put it out because I don't care about making money off it. Once it's done to the point where I want it, I'm going to give people it.
Hmm.
People who have, been there for me. But in that type of way, I I wrote it out in a way that makes it more digestible for the person to read it. You don't want to read it was incomprehensible, blah 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 blah. You want to make it so they can understand best to your knowledge what's going on. So what it was kind of like was it was kind of like I was hearing a voice in my head. Because at this point I didn't pass out again, but I'm very like uh like just loopy.
Hmm.
And I'm fighting that loopiness. And I hear him, I guess, in my head or aloud, but I think it was more in my head. Leave us. I heard that. Um, and what sound? And this is in a more adult male like voice. Um, I'm not saying it's a human voice. It wasn't like these little creatures. They didn't make no noise. Like they didn't talk to me. I mean, but this I hear, leave us, and then at the corner of my eyes, I can see the scurrying of the little entities leaving the room. And there's a off in the distance. I don't know how far of the distance. There is I will say, a 7 foot tall gray alien that looks like just the best way I describe it is angelic, like very graceful looking, very kind looking. Like I was looking at it going, I immediately went, that is not scary like they were scary.
Hmm.
And they weren't scary like how you see depictions of really, really gruff looking aliens, but they were terrifying to a little 6 year old. And I don't know if it was whatever I got injected with or if there is something in the air. I don't know. But he was not scary to me at all. It was like my uncle just came in the room and was talking to me, or my father. It was very, very peaceful, but I was still terrified. And I was like a little loopy, and I'm trying to fight this. And in my head, I'm thinking, "Am I asleep? What is happening?" That type of thing. And I heard him say, "Leave us." They scurried off, and I could see he walking basically in my direction, but a little bit off to the side. So at a certain point, he leaves my view because I can't turn my head, and I don't know if my head's mounted or what. But I can't really turn my head like that. I can kind of go like kind of scan like my eyes. That's about it.
Hmm.
And I remember plain as day hearing it. Like I said, whether it was in my head or not, and I think it was in my head. I remember hearing initiating contact and male, 6 years old, heart issue. Um, and then I'm in my head going, heart issue. And through the process of my life, I've now realized when that happened, my heart stopped when I saw the UFO. And I've learned later in my life, I'm 36. When I was 34, I had a heart attack. I
Whoa.
I had to quit my job. I was working in a restaurant, like dishwasher, prep cook, and stuff like that. Um, and I've never felt the same since that heart attack. I've never felt like myself. And I found out when I was a kid, I had heart issues, and my family doctor never really did anything about it. And I
Wow.
had like supraventricular tachycardia, SVT. Nothing was ever really done about that. So when I saw the UFO, what I now know as an adult, what I think anyway, is I see the UFO. I'm feeling the effects of like the discharge, the electricity. My heart stopped and I blacked out. They abducted me and restarted my heart and fixed me because I wasn't
Wow.
supposed to be where I was, I guess. And I don't know if this sensation I had of me feeling like I'm being called to go look out the window, if that was him or the little entities, or maybe just a byproduct of what the craft was or whatever. I don't know. Maybe it was just my own intuition. I don't know. So I hear that, and I'm not even no idea what to think as a little kid. And then I see from the peripheral, and then in front of me, him standing there, but I can't see his face because He's 7 feet tall, and my eyes are like kind of like this. And then I hear kind of like a tap, and then it feels like I'm completely unrestrained, but there was no restraints on me. There was nothing holding me down physically, but it felt like something was holding me down. But I couldn't see nothing with my eyes. And I tried to get up, and I could not get up. I was so weak, and I remember trying to get up and hearing again, you know, yeah, be be calm. Like I'm not going to hurt you. You know, how are you feeling? And I remember at this point going and finally looking up and being like, no idea what
Hmm.
I'm looking at. This thing is tall, and not just tall and graceful or angelic looking. This is one of the only times, at least I know of, and I've looked into everything there possibly is. He was wearing what kind of looked like a cape, but not a cape. It was just more like he had an outfit on, and that was kind of like maybe the I don't know the a part of it, and it kind of draped down, and it
Hmm.
was kind of a teal blue, and but the rest of him there was no clothing. And at this point, I black out. Um, and there's more in there, like a little more things that happen, but it's more that's like um just things I heard, like when I heard him say, leave us type of thing, and he walked to the left of me, and I lost the peripheral of him. I couldn't see him anymore. Um, I could hear almost kind of like I was hearing it, I don't know, talk to itself, like mumbling in its head, or I don't know, kind of just like, you know, awfully rough with a young little boy, that sort of thing, nothing
Hmm.
directed at me, but also almost like he was thinking at himself. And I know a lot of people will say, a lot of people will say like, oh, all alien abductions are, they're negative, they're this or that. They can be. They definitely can be. I'm not even going to say that this was positive, but I don't buy into the that every single abduction is evil or they're demonic or this or that. I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's been 30 years of this type of thing happening, and I don't have any answers.
Wow, man. But if they'd not taken you, they kind of saved you, basically. Is
Basically, yeah, that's how I look at it.
man. So this big entity, this 7 foot alien, did he look the same as the smaller ones, but just obviously bigger?
No, no, he was obviously bigger,
Hmm.
but he looked more like an adult. His features were soft, kind of like theirs, but he looked more like a very soft. Like I have pictures I've drawn,
Hmm.
and I also use AI on those images, and I could send those to you as well, so
Oh,
you
thank
actually
you.
know what he looked like, and you can put them on the screen. Whatever. I have a lot of photos I've done, and
Hmm.
photos I've used AI on those, so it takes my actual drawing
Hmm.
in terms that it's not just an AI. Or, so you'll have a better idea what he looked like. But he was very, like I said, graceful and very soft features. He didn't look scary at all. He um, he had the same like arches, like it wasn't just flat. Like there was contouring to the skull.
Hmm.
There was not wrinkle lines, but you could tell there was markings on the face, like almost like this is an entity that isn't like fresh out of a cloning battle, type of deal.
Hmm. Had like characters to his face.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Wow, but he looked like your typical grey alien as well, but just
yeah, typical gray alien. But I how I describe it is he was gray, but a kind of an off gray where under certain lighting, it almost looked like his skin was a little more not translucent, but just lighter
mhm.
in color. Hmm? Yeah, he was he was not young. And it wasn't like I was looking at an old man,
Hmm.
but it was he was definitely older. If I put an age on it, it was like the little tiny gray aliens were like, a 6 to 8 year old,
Hmm.
and this thing was like a 45, 55 year old person
Hmm.
type of thing.
So he was possibly like the leader of these, the smaller
Yeah,
ones. Yeah.
yeah. What I've gone on to realize is the smaller ones are in his charge.
Hmm.
Now, I don't know if all the smaller ones are like in his charge that are synthetic, but those ones I saw were. They're like a synthetic biological entity kind of thing. But
Interesting, mate.
he was not like synthetic. He was flesh and bone.
Hmm.
Like you could see like knuckles kind of deal. Like he had dimension to his body.
Hmm. Man. So what was next? What happened after you this interaction with this entity?
So like I said, I blacked out at that point. Um, and when I came to next, I woke up in my bedroom the next morning.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it wasn't long after that something else happened. And I mean like maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. Um, and I'll get into that if you want for sure.
Yeah,
But
absolutely, man. Can I? So once you woke up from that, what? I know you're 6 years old, so it's probably very confusing anyway.
yes,
But what was your thoughts? Were
what
you thinking, was this? What was you thinking?
I woke up, I woke up from that, and I remember no school, bus stop. I immediately when I woke up, I was like, and I literally just I remember saying to myself, I can't think about that. I don't know what that was. And I got on the bus, I went to school, and all day at school, all day at home, if I felt like a cold breeze or something felt I was instantly like stone cold shivers up and down my body. And that whole time that happened, and now after it happened, and it's now going like over and over in my mind what happened, and I don't know what it was. I'm 6 years old. I went to school a little late. I'm in grade primary, so before grade one, and I was crying at school. I couldn't tell the teacher why. I didn't want to be like I didn't know if they were going to say I was crazy. And also at this age, I had speech issues. So, like to put it in a little bit of perspective, it's not like I could just go, "Oh, mommy, daddy, something took me last night. I woke up on a spaceship." When I spoke back then, this is how I sounded. How's those? It took
Hmm.
me 10 years of speech therapy and hearing therapy, issues with my ears to really be able to talk properly.
Hmm.
I
Oh
I
man.
wasn't nonverbal. It was difficult
Hmm.
for me to talk, write, print, do everything. I failed. I failed grade one. I was held back. It was the best thing that ever happened to me. So it wasn't like I had a system where I could go, I got to tell someone. I really couldn't tell anyone. It was
Wow.
difficult for me to tell someone.
Yeah,
So it was just in my head,
man.
replaying it, and I didn't know what it was. And I was not sleeping because of it.
I bet, man. So you said
Oh, it's terrifying.
a week later, a similar thing
So
occurred?
yeah, so about a week or two later, what ended up happening was I'm with my parents. We went into the hospital. My mom needed something done to her ear. She had something known as cholesteatoma, and she basically had a hole drilled in her ear to deal with this issue she had. And it was just like a day surgery type of thing. We got to come home the same day. So she has this hole in her ear, which ended up leaving her about 90 or 95% deaf in that ear. We're driving home. And the craziest thing happened. This is still my dad. Thank God my dad was the one driving. We're behind a truck, and a board flies off the back of the truck and goes through the windshield. And my dad veered the car to the left, hit another car, and the board flew through the windshield and pinned my mom on the pelvis to the car instead of getting her in the skull because my dad veered the car. So she's pinned to the seat. Obviously the car stops. There's a car accident, and luckily after that happened, the ear doctor was behind us, one or two cars behind us, and there was a heart surgeon and another doctor in traffic getting home. Saved my mom's life. Called 911. Um, and I didn't, as a kid, I'm like, don't know what's going on. I get to drive home with the police. It was really cool. They got let me play with the sirens, and I didn't know what happened. Really didn't know. It was just dad. My father was like, your mom had to go back to the hospital. Yada yada yada, that type of thing. And then that night, I'm going to bed, and I the rest of the day was fine, other than constantly replaying what happened to me. Because at this point, I don't know my mom's life is in danger. She did almost die. I found out later as like a teenager. I didn't know that as a kid. My whole family made sure it was just, oh, mom had to go back and get her ear fixed again. Um, and that night, I remember I was going to bed. My dad let me stay up a little bit extra late, and I went to bed, and I woke up, and in the corner of my room, in the back left-hand corner of the room, there was a window, and excuse me, and I could see the tall, 7 foot tall alien again. And he's in the back of my room, and the lights turned off, so I can just barely make him out. And there's a little bit of a glow coming in the window because one of the curtains is slightly open, and it's got like a nice little blue glow, let's say, moonlight. And I'm shocked and freaking out, and I don't know what's going on. And I immediately just blurred out like, "Are you gonna hurt me?" I started freaking out like, please don't hurt me, don't take me. Like, what are you? That sort of thing. And I remember he came from basically, I'll say, in the shadows because I couldn't see him all that well, and walked out in front of the curtain and kind of went like this and pushed the curtain down. And the type of curtains were, I don't know the name of them, but they're that kind of really thin, almost like metal, where if you bent it, it stayed in that shape.
Hmm.
So he kind of like pushed it down and the curtain stayed open. And he made a remark about that, saying a little bit of moonlight, just a little. Like he was letting a little bit more moonlight in so I could see more of him. And that turned into me being freaking out and asking a million and 10 questions like, what are you? Or what, like, I like, you don't look human, you're a monster. And literally being like the hand, just the index finger towards me, telling me to, and I instantly was calm, quiet, and I felt almost like I was drugged again, but not quite. I was very calm and very happy. And I was fine. And he proceeded to tell me that, your mother's going to be fine. She's been in an accident, but she's going to live. And I didn't know anything of that because when that accident happened, I was in the sleep of the back of the car. So when I woke up, I just knew that my mom was like in the car and there was an ambulance there. I didn't know really anything that happened. But he's telling me my mother's going to be fine. She was in an accident, but she's going to pull through and, don't worry about it. And he kept calling me and like referring to me like my child, saying, your mom's going to be fine, my child.
Hmm.
You don't have anything to worry about, my child. How are you feeling? It was an ordeal that you were put through when we last met, and I apologize for the actions of them. Never said they're alien, but straight up, like weirdest thing ever because he literally apologized to me for the little aliens, like how they were, because they weren't. They weren't like rough, like beating me up, but probably could have been a little bit kinder to me. I'm a little 6-year-old boy, you
Hmm.
know. Um, and I remember saying, "Are you a spaceman?" And hearing a kind of like a almost like a chuckle, but not like a full chuckle. I'm going, "Yes," like saying, I am a spaceman, I guess if that's what you want to call me. And at this point, I my mind's racing, and I'm trying to fill in gaps as a kid, and I don't understand what's happening, and I can't really process anything that's happening. And the next thing that happened was he literally kind of like not got on my bed, didn't sit down. It wasn't like an ET moment or anything like that, but like kind of kneeled down, like kind of like almost got on my level and told me, like go to sleep. And I remember my eyes fluttering and I passed out. Yeah.
Wow, man. So how did this was this these interactions, did these continue? Was this something that became like a frequent
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah, I can't say it's like, oh, it happens 4 times a year or, 2 times a month or anything like that. But it definitely was a lot more frequent as I was younger.
Hmm.
And as I've gotten older, like him, the large one, I actually gave him a name. It's not a name he gave himself, but because I grew up, my mother was very heavily Christian. Um, and I wasn't really heavily Christian. Like I believed in God as a kid, and like, but I didn't want to go to church. What 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, 10-year-old wants to go sit at church? But I always liked the stained glass and the vibe of the church, but I didn't want to go. But because of that influence, for some reason, as a little kid, I wanted to name him Emmanuel, and I did, and that's what I've called him ever since. And he's never told me a name. I just call him that, and he just, I guess, accepts it.
Wow. So you can
And
so you continue to see this entity to this day.
yeah, up until at least about a year ago, I haven't seen him since. I don't really know. Like, I can't say, oh, he'll be back in 2 months. I don't know. I don't know anything like that. He just hasn't been around, and I still continue to be taken or being visited. And it's almost like I'll say the little synthetic, I guess I'll call them, like biological entities. I don't know if they stay that size. I don't know if they grow. I don't know if he's growing them to be a certain size. I don't know. But I just know the feeling I got as a little 6-year-old boy, I still have that same feeling now as a 36-year-old man from the same entities taking me that are not him.
Hmm.
So it's almost like the little tiny, um, I'll call them like, the worker bees in the post office that were dealing with me, like I bit. It's like they're still coming and taking me, even if he's not around.
Interesting, man.
Like as God, I'm bad with the time frame in this because it's like
Yeah, no, it's
I
cool, man.
always remember I always remember what happens, but after it happens, I find I get very cloudy on like say certain things like, oh, that was 2 days ago, and I'll think
Hmm.
it's 3 or 4 days
I'm the
ago.
same, man.
But
I'm the same.
yeah, but we were talking. I remember I mentioned it to you in passing. I don't remember the date, but the last time I was taken was about 2 weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that was, it wasn't fun. And it's always like my fiance knows when something happens because like she'll wake up and she'll like look at me. And I'm usually like either kind of with the sheets up to my face or the blankets up to my face, or I'm just like, I got 1,000 yard stare on my face. And I'm just like zonked out, like
Hmm.
just
So when they take you now, is it do they physically take your body or is it like a spiritual abduction?
um it's always physically taken my body when I'm taken. I have had moments where it feels like I'm in a dream. I'm just dreaming, like whatever it is, like I'm eating a marshmallow or I'm eating, whatever. I don't know what the dream is. It's always different.
Hmm.
And then I'm ripped out of that dream. And then I'm literally like aboard the vessel. And it's like I was just dreaming what's happening. So if that is kind of like being taken astrally or whatever the word is for it,
Hmm.
great. I don't know. I don't really look I don't look into that aspect of it. I'm more of a nuts and bolt person. Now, that aspect of it is great. I think that's awesome if people are looking into that, but I've never looked into it, so I can't say what yes, it was that. But
Hmm.
that is what it felt like. Like sometimes it feels like it's I'm dreaming and then I'm just ripped out of the dream and my
Hmm.
literally like I'll look at my body sleeping and I'm pulled away and my body is still on my bed.
Because a lot of abductions are, the people that you talk to that experience this, often it is connected to the dream state as well. A lot of people
Yeah,
say, when these interactions happen, it's during a dream, and
agreed.
it's not a dream; it's more than a dream. But
Yeah,
these things are taking us in a like a dreamlike state.
yeah,
But for you, it's not just that; it's physical as well.
yeah. I'd say it's 90% physical, and it's not all abductions. It's sometimes like I'll be outside, say I don't know, cutting the grass, like mowing the lawn or doing whatever, and in the bushes I'll see one, and then
Hmm.
it'll, almost like it's playfully like picking on me, like a little kid would play a joke, but a kid that knows it has more power over you than you could ever have.
Hmm.
Is how I put it.
Man.
It's like so. It's not always I'm taking, but predominantly it is. It's sometimes like I'll get up, I'll go to the washroom, and I look at down my hall up towards my kitchen and living room area, and I'm too afraid to look up there unless I shine my flashlight or I have my phone in my hand with the camera on. Even though if I have the camera on, that's not going to do anything because it doesn't work.
Hmm.
But it's not always physical, and there's sorry, Fiance's trying to let me
No problem.
remind me about something,
No
and
problem.
I don't really talk about this part of it ever. Um, like I'm always nervous talking in general,
Hmm. No, you're
but
you're doing great, man.
I do have I don't want to say I have an implant. I don't want to say that, but I do have a spot on my body on my left leg where during one of these times I was taken, I remember getting kind of like how I'll describe it is you ever see pictures of the old vaccine needles that were really thick and they left like that horrible mark? It was
Hmm.
kind of like a needle like that. And ever since that happened, I have a part on my leg, on the left side of my thigh, that if you run your finger over it, it almost feels like I guess, an implant or I don't know what it is, but it's like a really large grain of rice or couple of grains of rice. It's like pronounced and circular, but I can't take a picture of it because it's under the skin. Like you can definitely feel it,
Hmm.
and doctors have told me like, oh, it's the skin or it's you know you have fatty tissue under your leg or and anytime it's ever been scanned or x-rayed nothing shows up but there's definitely something there that hurts a lot anytime before and after I'm taken.
Interesting. Well, that's the only time you'll feel it during
Yeah,
when an abduction's about to occur and after.
yeah, and after,
Whoa.
yeah. Other than that, there's also like I also have like the tinnitus ringing in my ear, and
Hmm.
that I always say to the fiance, I have that. I'll hear that, and it's a certain pitch, and I'll go, I think I'm going to be taken, or something to happen, because not just with the abductions, there's also like me and like me and the fiance joke all the time, like, oh, the house is haunted, you know. I don't think the house is haunted. I think the house has interactions happening at it, and the offset of that and me being here is the high strangeness
Hmm.
associated with that. where I'll go in to go get a shower and something will fall off the shelf. I'll pick it up, put it back, and it'll fall off again. Or her mother's room will um, things will have recently been coming off the shelf and landed on the bed. I can't record in that room. None of my phones work. My laptop doesn't work. My little button camera doesn't work. Nothing will record in that room. And
Hmm.
it's everything I see will go towards that room or come out of that room. And it's like ghost like stuff, obviously, but I don't think it's ghosts. I think it's the after effects of what happens to me.
Interesting.
That's just my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. So these entities that take you got the smaller ones, you got the large one. Are they always the entities that you interact with?
No, no, but predominantly it's always one or the other, yes. But no, not always them. Sometimes I've had um I've had experiences where I don't how do I put it? I don't want there's no name I don't have names for these like little entities, but
Hmm.
I just get this set feeling that like that yeah, they're they're like naughty little bad children who have infinite amounts of power or almost infinite amount of power. And I find him, the one I call Manuel, very nice. Almost treats me like he's taking care of me, or But there's times where I've seen things or I've been taken, and it definitely doesn't feel like either of them. Not mean, not bad, but it doesn't feel. I don't get a sensation or a vibe or anything like it's that one's like. Let's say the little ones and him are over on the left. On the right, it's someone else, and I don't know what that is. It just it's wild to me that I feel like I am visited and or taken by more than one entity, and I don't really have an explanation for that. Well, I kind of do, but I don't. I don't think the explanation I have is probably the real like answer, so to
Hmm.
say. But yeah,
Interesting.
it's not always the same.
Do you know what the other entities look like? Or
Exact same, exact same gray aliens, but the other ones that have taken me, they're I'll say like 4 feet tall,
hmm.
4.5, and they're not ugly, like they're not mean looking, not like really soft features or anything. They look literally generic, just like a generic alien, cookie
Hmm.
cutter.
Interesting, man. It
And
might be.
those ones, oh no, sorry, you go on.
No, no, you go, man.
I was gonna say those ones, when it's a different type that takes me, though, it's more like I feel like they're taking me just to go. We want to check you out. Have a good night.
Hmm.
Like a police officer like pulling you over to do a random spot check. That's literally
Interesting.
it. Nothing special.
Interesting, man. So do all these entities, this might be a difficult question, but are they all a part of the same race? Are they part of the same, are they from the same place? Do you know?
I would say they're part of the same race in the terms of how they look. I don't want someone seeing this and going, "Oh, he's space racist," because I don't
You
know. But they are
got to be
all the
careful
like,
these days.
yeah, you really do. It's like, oh, I don't want to assume these entities' gender or ideologies or anything like that. You never know,
Hmm.
but they're definitely all the same look with slight different variations. It's not like the only ones that look exactly the same, besides like I was saying about the skin and stuff like that, are the little ones. But those ones that are kind of like 4 and 4.5 feet tall, they don't look the same as the 7 foot tall one. It's the best way I can describe it is like me and you don't look the same,
Hmm.
but looking at us, someone could go, "Oh, well, they're white, or
Hmm.
they're not African American, or whatever."
Hmm.
That's how I describe it. I don't know if they're from the same race. I don't know. I don't know if they have a planet. Anytime I've asked Emmanuel. I'm like, "Hey, so as I got older and I looked into the topic and I got more, like I guess more self confident with myself around these entities." I'm like, So you're from like Zeta Reticuli or something, and no answer ever. No acknowledgement, no disacknowledgement, nothing like that. So I don't know if they're from somewhere. My theory is they've been here a very long time, longer than us, and they're in the oceans, and they can come and go as they please.
Hmm.
But they've been here longer than we've been here.
Interesting. So you can never get answers to why they're taking you to what they're doing with you. You can never get those answers from them.
I can never get an answer of where they're from,
Okay.
being coy, but I definitely have gotten answers of why I have been taken, and that is a just an incredible amount of detail of things that have been told to me. I definitely have no problem telling you that. I will
Oh,
tell you if you want.
yeah, please, yeah.
Um, so I don't want to go, oh, from the age of 16, this, and this happened. I'm just going to broadly tell you.
Hmm.
Um, Basically, I found as I got older and I found out later in life, my mother was abducted. I didn't know that until after she died. She died in 2021. And when my mother was abducted, my mom only told one person, or technically two. Didn't tell her parents. My mother's parents were, you know, they were drug addicts and stuff like that. And my mother was raised by her. My mother was raised by her adopted mother, who was also her aunt. So she's my like great aunt, but also kind of like my grandmother. And she told me after my mom passed that my this woman, who I call my aunt, she doesn't have words for it. She doesn't have the vocabulary or the the reading, the knowledge to know what it was. But she basically what she described was that my mother was taken at a young age, maybe around 8 to 9 years old, shortly after her mother died. And back then, when someone died, the coffin was in the living room, and you said goodbye in the living room, and then the coroner came to your house type of deal. And like it was crazy back then what they did. But so my mom was abducted, but my mother couldn't deal with it. Whatever happened to my mother, she could not deal with it, couldn't comprehend it. I guess how I would put it is it broke my mother mentally in a way, and she went on later in her life. By later, I mean as a teenager. Back then, what they did is they just pumped you full of pills. No, there was no CPS or anything like that back then. So they didn't have centers for women to go to and, talk about, abuse or especially, you know, someone took me in the middle of the night and it wasn't Uncle Jim. It was an alien. They can't even do that nowadays. Like I spoke to a therapist, like a psychiatrist about being abducted and they literally just laughed in my face and asked me to leave. So it's not an easy conversation to have, especially when you find out that as a kid, your mother was abducted and it seems to have broken her in a way. And she went on to have a lifelong addiction to pills. My mother then succumbed to that. She came off everything and she ended up getting schizophrenia, which luckily I've never had any issues with anything like that. And I found out that she was taken whatever was done to her, I guess, messed her up so bad that she just ignored it and didn't process it. And I then found out through my abductions that I was abducted by the same person who took my mother. And he showed himself as an angel to my mother. So my mom, I guess, didn't shatter her worldview, I guess. Because my mom, back then, as a little kid, Um, it was very much like religion, 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 So to her, she was able to cope with it the way she could was she was taken by angels. She was visited by angels. When she had a car accident, I mentioned, she saw an angel. And I don't know if that was a natural angel. I don't know if that was a rush of, adrenaline and everything from her brain to, keep her alive. I don't know what that was. But whatever, whatever took her then went on to make themselves appear as angels, which to them is child's play, I guess. They can look like anything to you.
Hmm.
Um, and they visited her a couple of times after that. And I remember being told, it was a horrible thing to hear when I was a teenager, um, that I was supposed to be aborted. My mother was going to do that, and she didn't because she was told by an angel not to abort me. Not that I'm some special kid, not that I'm going to go on and save the world or anything. It wasn't anything like that. It was just, don't do this. You're going to regret it. You're going to want, you know, you were going to want another kid because she had two. She had one boy. She had my sister, and then me. Um, so I have no illusions that I'm some special prophet. That's nothing like that. I'm not special like that. Um, so she didn't go through with that. She didn't have the abortion. She didn't do any of that, and she never told me any of that. I did find out about the like you were supposed to be aborted, but I didn't abort you. But I never learned any of the alien stuff until I was in my 30s and my mother died. And after she died, I found out within the last 2 years that they visited her, made themselves look like angels to her, and they made sure they had me just for the sole purpose because they wanted to see how I guess things played out. Because I don't know if they ever tried to take my older brother or my sister. Like I don't talk to my older brother. My sister's not in this world. She doesn't believe in any of this stuff. Um, but I don't really know why they made her not abort me or anything like that. There's no real like I'm. It's not like I'm a special prophet or something. I think it's literally just because they couldn't do something with my mother because it was too hard on her psyche, and they wanted to try again with maybe my bloodline. I don't know. And um, I didn't. I went on to find out that how do I put this? I know I'm talking about aliens and being abducted, but I don't want to sound too crazy. I did go on to find out that when I was initially taken at 6 or 7, and I think they saved me. Some of my DNA was taken, blood, I guess hair, maybe. I don't know. Maybe skin cell. I don't know. I don't remember any of that happening. I
Hmm.
didn't feel any of that happening. And then whatever was taken, and then over the years of me being abducted, other samples. Like there's been times where like I'd go and like literally the visitation would be like I'd get visited, I then like I'd blink and I'm on the ship and I'd get jabbed with a needle and a little tiny piece of flesh like the size of half the size of like say my thumbnail would be
Hmm.
taken from my arm and then I'm back in my bed. And that type of stuff happened over the years. And I went on to find out that I guess they used my DNA for some type of hybrid. Is what I was told and what I was shown. And I don't know a whole lot about that. To me, that sounds crazy and is crazy to me. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I know what I was shown.
Hmm.
I know that I saw a gray alien that looks, like gray alien, about 4 to 5 feet tall, but looks a little more human like.
Hmm.
Like definitely looks more human. You couldn't go walk down, Manhattan, everyone's gonna know that's not a human.
Hmm.
But like from afar with a hood up, you could say, what's that over there? You know?
Yeah.
So I know that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And do you think
And I
that's,
don't really tell a lot of people that.
yeah, no, thank you. But do you think that's possibly, that is a part of you? That is,
My
Plus,
estimation of the situation is that is some type of entity that they use my DNA to create.
mhm, interesting.
It wasn't like someone came and took my man juice or anything. It
Hmm.
wasn't anything like that. So there was that. I've definitely seen been abducted and seen things that are let's just say less than kind,
Hmm.
very brutal, very horrific and evil. Like, in any time I've seen that type of stuff, I don't know if it's him, and if I'm on his ship. I don't know any of that. I just know some of the things I've seen involved in the whole, well, I guess they would call the hybrid program. Like, I've seen vats of what looks like a little tiny alien, another little alien, and as it goes on and on and on, it's like they're older and older and older, and some of them are just human, but look slightly a little bit weird. They're really human, but look like a little just off.
Hmm.
And some of them are like alien, but look slightly human, but a little off. Vice versa. And other things involved with that, I've seen like horrific stuff. I just I need a minute to talk about that.
Hmm.
But yeah, anything you want to ask?
I was going to say, if you don't mind sharing some of that stuff, if that's okay, you don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, I can. So one would be I shouldn't say one. The one real one is taken one time, and can't remember if it's about 20 or 22, around that age maybe. Um, what I saw was like I was taken, and I it was the same as it always is. Like, I'll wake up and I will either see um like down the hall or wherever I was living at this point where I was living, um, it was outside my door in the hall leading into my bedroom. And I saw the alien, and then it was like I blinked, everything went dark. I was aboard a ship, but I was alone in a room, and I was on a bed. And it just looked like a mattress, but I don't know if it was a mattress. It just felt like a mattress and kind of looked like it. Soft glow everywhere. But as I got up in this room and walked, it felt more. Everything felt cold. Everything was like bright, bright, bright. I couldn't see a corner anywhere as usual, but it was cold. And not like, oh, I could see my breath or, oh, I'm cold. It was eerily, terrifyingly cold. Like, how I describe it in that instance, how this feels, and the time when I was abducted at 6, and the time I saw a UFO at 13 outside, all had the same feeling. It was as if every part of my body, when I got up that time and the other times, every part of my body, my organs, my spine, my skin, everything was trying to get away from me. Whatever I am, consciousness, soul, whatever it was like everything was trying to get away from me. Like, no, we need to get out of here. This situation is terrifying. It was like every atom of my body was afraid. I've never felt fear like that other than those 3 times. And it's horrific feeling. And I get up. And at this point, I don't know how many times I've been abducted, but by this point, it's been enough that I like wake up and I'm like, mother, like again, like it's like at this point I'm like, I'm glad I don't have kids or like, a dog or, like doing something because it's getting incredibly inconvenient. Like, it's at the point where at this point that Like I'd be out walking. I used to walk all the time, and then snap your finger and I'm gone.
Oh wow.
Just out in the middle walking. And when I come back to, maybe 4 or 5 seconds had passed, but it felt like hours and hours and hours had passed. And I'm back where I originally was before I was taken, like in my stride. I'm like, okay. Um,
Wow.
so to get back, sorry, I was on a tangent. To get back to, I was taken out. It's kind of like a bed, and I get up and I'm walking, and like I say to myself, like out loud, like what the f, like again. And I go to walk towards what looked like a door. One of the only times I've seen what looked like an actual, just a generic silver door. Like there's no markings on it. There's nothing. It just looked like a door, no handle. And I pushed on it. It was cold, but it wasn't freezing. And I got out. And I remember walking in the hall. I didn't know if I should go right, left, or it was like I could go right or left. And if I went left, there was a right I could go after going left, or I could keep going left. And I remember I went left, then took a right, and just kept on walking. And every now and then I'd find like the same type of door I came out of, and I couldn't push on the door. Like I'd push on the door, and it was like, how I'll put it is, it was like, say this is the door I'm trying to push on. I'd go like this to push on it. My hand would get about here, and I couldn't move it any more forward.
It wouldn't
It
let you
was like
touch it.
it wouldn't. I could not touch the door. It was like some type of invisible membrane or force field. I don't know. And one door I got to, and I want to preface this by saying, people can call me whatever they want to call me. People can say this is horrific sounding. That's fine. I don't really have a good way to really explain this, other than the way I will explain it. I get to a door, I open this door, I get in, and when you go to a museum, you look at, say, I've never actually been to a museum with dinosaur bones, but everyone has seen them in TV shows and movies. And this looked like, um, almost like that, but also there's a movie called, oh man, The Cell. Great thriller movie. Um, I can't remember what the woman's name is in it, the actress, but there's a scene in that movie where the kind of that movie's about, like, they're trying to catch a serial killer or whatever, and they go inside of his mind to solve the crime or whatever. So they're inside the serial killer's mind, and there's a scene with a horse, and the horse gets basically hit by like a guillotine of glass and then spread out. And you can see every part of the horse, outside and inside, and all of its organs beaten. And it was a crazy scene. What I walked into, and this was, um, before that movie came out, I walk into what looks like kind of similar to that, and kind of like, how I'll put it, it was kind of like when you go into, say, a museum and you see like a Tyrannosaurus Rex on display, and it got like the bones are there and it's on display, and there's kind of like, um, let's say rods or something holding it up in certain places. It was like a bunch of, I guess, rods. They just looked like silver metal holding up, all up in the air, and it was like a completely disassembled human being, from the head all the way to the feet, ripped apart, and you can see the head with like an opening in the back. You can see part of the brain, and then spine going out of the back of the head, and the spine was attached to the head, and then you'd see like the chest, and that was away from the head, and the arms were on the side of the chest, and the legs, and it was all up that way. And the way it was set up is like you're looking at it, and you're looking at this body mutilated and ripped apart, and the organs are moving, and the hands are twitching. And then as I walk like this, horrified, horrified, like I'm crying when I'm looking at it. And when I walk at a certain way in an angle, it looks like the whole thing is back together because of the perspective of it.
Whoa.
And it was the one of the worst things I've ever seen.
Man.
And I don't know if that was a person that was alive. They had no face. like I can see the back, I can see everything, but I'm looking at it, and it literally looked like they just went from here and took the face off. And there was various parts like of the arm, say like where there's a skin missing, and you can
Hmm.
see the muscle underneath the skin. And part of the thigh where the muscle, you can see the muscle, and that part of the skin was gone. And I don't
Whoa.
know if the person was alive, I doubt it, or if it was some type of like anatomy display to show like how everything moved. But
Wow.
it was horrific. It was horrific.
Wow, man.
Yeah,
So was this on board the ship?
I don't know if it's like his ship, the one I call manual. I would
Hmm.
hope not, because more I have more of an opinion of him. Some people online have told me that like, oh well, him taking you and doing what he does to you, this, that, and the other thing, yada yada yada, he is evil. And you don't see it that way. And like if you don't see it as evil, then you're in some delusion or like being controlled or manipulated. I couldn't tell you. I don't know if it was him or aboard his ship, but I can tell you that I saw that and I got out of that room and I was in another room. In another room I got into, um, it wasn't anything like that. This was like literally like a generic big hologram like of Earth. And this big like hologram of Earth looked like um kind of like little points coming off, like lights, points of light in various different spots. And I don't know what those points of lights represented. Some of them were in America, some were in like Canada, Europe, Japan, and that's what I saw in that room. It was nothing like the other room. And there
Interesting.
was a bunch of points. It was almost like a collection of points in a circle, and they keep going in and in and in of like points of these lights in the ocean, and not just like the Atlantic. Every various spots in the ocean.
Whoa. So they were
Yeah,
possibly symbolizing, I don't know, bases or points of interest or,
yeah,
people like yourself that are like constantly being visited, maybe.
yeah. That's how I think of it too.
Whoa.
Yeah,
So
I know.
when you're on these ships, I mean, I know you said they could be different. Do they all look like the ships that you're on? Do they always look like the same?
Oh
Even
yeah,
though,
just about every time every ship looks the same. The differences would be say sometimes if I'm taken and I find I got taken and they're gonna take like blood out of me, or well, I shouldn't take blood. I've never actually seen blood being taken from me, but I clearly blood has been taken from me because of what I've come to know, and waking up and going, oh, I'm bleeding.
hmm
But
hmm
the differences would be like one chip being in a room and it's like, well, this room, some type of medical examination should have happened. Or if it's a different ship where I'm at, it would be like think of it like almost like a little sitting area. Like there's like kind of like, I'm not gonna call it a couch, but like a little kind of, I guess, a chair of some sort. Like it's just like a little metal bench. And it was like I was sitting in a waiting room and I would feel like it's my turn to get up, or I'd feel like it's time to get up, and I'd get up and I'd walk. I'd go through a door, and it was always very similar, like be a table, and it'd be like an exam again. So the differences I've noticed have been it's almost like what needs to be used, whether it's a medical exam room, let's say they just want to do a scan, whatever it is, it's almost like the room that I go into has everything they need in it, and everything else in the ship is minimalistic as possible.
hmm
And so it's always very much the same, except whether it's I'm taken by, let's say, him or little entities or whatever, it's very, very, very similar with slight differences.
Hmm. Interesting.
Hmm.
Have you ever been in on a ship or in one of these situations where you've seen another human?
Yeah, yeah. I've never been on a ship and seen another human and talked to one, but I've been on ships and I've seen, like I said, like what looked like entities that were like very human-like or had human features, but were more alien-like. And I've also been on ships where it was like walking into a room and seeing just like the same generic, like almost like a metal examination table with a soft glow and the hum I hear. And there's like someone on that table who has no reaction, like deadpan, just eyes up, no reaction, not asleep though. Just like I don't know if they're drugged, I don't know what it is. But I've never interacted with anyone else.
Hmm.
I've tried in that instance, but nothing has ever come of it.
Interesting, man. So it's like these entities are doing tests on us,
Yeah,
and yeah, using for whatever reason hybridization program. I mean, the body that you saw on the wall, which was like laid out like a museum, that's kind of like a showpiece, like what I'm getting.
yeah. It was literally in the center of the room, up high in the room. It was like a showpiece, yeah. And it's like whether it's a hybridization program, whether it's they want to just look at what's a good way to harm us or uh like looking at us like we're ants, whatever it is.
Hmm.
I'm not sure, but I know the one who has always taken me, who I named Emmanuel for my own reasons. I've never gotten a name out of him. He has always told me that he's just bait, and this isn't his words. It's hard to say. Oh, they say this. It's a lot of it's a lot of sensations and feelings and imagery in your head, and obviously some speaking, obviously. But I've always been told and given the impression that he's bored and lonely. Straight up, really like he just like like I told the fiance one time, I was like I kind of one time what happened a couple years ago, I got in an accident at work and I got a skull fracture.
Hmm.
Almost died. I got a lot of injuries at that job. I love that job, but I got injured a lot. I got a second degree burn there. I chopped half my pinky off there,
Oh
or
man.
almost half my 50% through my pinky. Um, but I remember telling the fiance that when I got that happened, we were just after starting a date. I didn't tell her this obviously right away, but I told her later. Um, and I told her that when that happened, I got like the skull fracture. I found out the skull fracture was very minimal. It wasn't like I wasn't going to die from it, but I left the hospital after initially being there because I don't like the hospital anymore. As I got older, as like a teenager and like a young adult, like 17, 18, 19, I learned to be fearful of the hospital. And so I could have died because I left the hospital, but I remember what happened was I'm home, just like zonked, so sore and headache and exhausted. And then he shows up. And it was the only time ever in the history of me being abducted or visited or shown images and being like, what did I just see? Like almost like a download that in my entire time, and I think at this point it would have been about 27 years of it going on, that I went, huh, he's worried about me because he attached something to me that was kind of like a long, I don't know, like not, I can't say if it was a cord or what it was, but it was a long tube like apparatus and it was attached to something in his hand. And it was like a needle at the end of it. And it went into me and he ended up, what I guess, injecting me with something. And and said it was to give me a boost to make sure I was okay, and help my immune system and help my body, help me get better. And he's always offered to take me off planet and like basically do anything I needed done. Like if I needed, say, a heart issue fix, like I found out I have a heart issue, he's offered to fix that for me.
Hmm.
But it's always at the caveat of I'm going to be gone for a little bit and doesn't say how long a little bit is, and I don't want to do that.
Interesting.
Because a little bit might be a day, a little bit might be 100 years. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. The communication is not quite clear, like the answers that
Yeah.
you.
No, the
Whoa.
answers are more like impressions and like even the straight answers I do get, it's almost like I'm not being talked down to or ridiculed, but it's like he's giving me answers and being like, you should have known that.
Hmm.
Or, I should understand what he's trying to tell me, or I already do know, and I'm just second guessing myself.
Hmm.
Because I think if I accept the whole like you're going to take me, I think it's going to be I won't be coming back.
Hmm. Man. Because the thing is,
Yeah,
in the UFO slash alien world, we know that there's like camps of people that are, one side, these things are really bad, dangerous,
yeah,
shouldn't be entertained. The other side is these are love and light, and I'm kind of in the middle with what I do because I talk to a lot of different people, and I think as well that there probably is more than one answer to these
yeah.
to what is going on. Where do you kind of stand with what these are they good or bad in your opinion?
Where I stand is I feel how I feel about it is I don't feel that even though I've been abducted for 30 years, I've been researching this since ever since this started happening and really, really took the research off as a teenager. I feel like I don't, even in my situation, have the adequate tools or wherewithal to put what I will say, a flavor of text and opinion on what they are and what they're doing. Because I am so little in comparison to what he is and is capable of. I can't project what I say is right or wrong. Now, what's right or wrong by human rules and the society that we live in, and you know the day's events that go on, and I would say that it's not as cut and dry as they're good, they're evil, or they're demons, or this. And there
Hmm.
is people that do that, and I've spoken to some of them, and like they say it's all good, they say it's all bad, and I'm cool. That's your opinion. That's awesome. You know, and some of them, like one person on Twitter, she's really active, goes by Fringe. I'm really friendly with her.
Hmm.
She's
Yeah,
the
but.
first person who she's the first person who didn't call me crazy and had me come into space and talk to me, let me talk.
Hmm.
And even though she said this is my views and opinions, I appreciate your view and opinion. So I'm not in the
Yeah.
camp of it's good or bad. I think there's a lot of bad, and there's also a lot of stuff that we view as that is horrible, horrible. But who am I to say what their values are,
Hmm.
if there
Hmm.
is any?
Hmm.
So, in my experience, it's not been all good, but it's not been all bad. But the bad has definitely been bad.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like um having my eye pulled out and turned and looking back at myself,
Whoa.
that type of level of bad.
Hmm.
Or like a fingernail being pulled off, or my finger being ripped off and put back on, and you can't tell it was ever taken off. That
Whoa.
type of stuff. Seeing imagery of what looked like endless bodies. I don't know where, in some type of machine or some type of um, pit somewhere, just being grinded up.
Hmm.
some of the bad is really bad, but some of the good experiences I had have been great, and a lot like I told you in chat talking with you, like and like right now talking to you, I have like this might be 1% of my experiences I've talked about so far, just
Hmm.
right now.
Hmm. Yeah.
There's just so much.
Yeah.
So I
Absolutely.
can't really say if it's all good or all bad. I would say I'm in the camp of it can be either or, and I don't like to say it's one or the other.
Hmm. It could be that there's a lot of things going on,
Yeah,
and
there's too many
yeah.
factors involved in that. And then I can be intelligent all I want, but I don't know because I
Hmm.
don't know.
Hmm. Would you be able to tell us what happened to you 2 weeks ago? You mentioned that that was the last time you was taken.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, that's fine. I'm not sorry if anyone can hear me or you heard me being like, and I'm not
Yeah.
sighing because I don't want to talk about it. I'm just
No,
like,
no, no.
um,
You're doing great, man. It's not easy to talk about this stuff. I know that. I know it's very difficult. So you're doing
yeah, I find
brilliant,
it's
man.
very hard to talk about, but I find for me personally, I have an easy time talking about any type of, say, I guess, traumatic event. But building up to that, I find I have to not go over it in my head. I have to, like, all day today, I knew I was going to be doing this, but I didn't think about it.
Hmm.
Because if I
Hmm.
thought about it, it would have been horrible, and I would have felt a lot of emotions I don't want to feel.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
just did put it in my head and didn't think about it. And when the time comes to talk about it, I just talk about it and I get through it. That's
Hmm.
how I deal with things.
Hmm.
But what happened about 2 weeks ago, I was so I wanna start off by saying that there's a lot of times where things happen in my house where I don't know if it's say something's about to happen or if it's just what my fiance or her mother or someone might say is a ghost.
Hmm.
But when I start to get a certain type of inkling or sensation, then I go, oh yeah, something's here. So I remember I woke up as usual, as I always wake up, because me and the missus go to sleep. I'm usually either awake for an hour or two or three afterwards, or if I fall asleep, luckily right away, I'm up usually between 2 and 4 o'clock every night. I don't sleep much. Maybe if I get more than 4 or 5 hours of sleep, I feel exhausted. I don't do good with a lot of sleep.
Hmm.
I can run on, and that's not good. I should be getting a good night's sleep. But so I remember I woke up, and as usual, I got up and went to the washroom, and as usual, I go and curse to myself, saying, look, I hate meds I'm on because I'm on water pills, diuretics, and I uh, I go back to bed. I lay down and I'm trying to go to sleep, and I'm hearing like rustling, and at this point, I'm like, I'm wide awake, and I went and got I got a drink, went back to bed again. And when I laid down, the moment my back touched the bed, it was like, here's my hand is my body. And I go, and I'm on the ship. As if the moment I
Whoa.
touched my body, I was on the ship. It was just like, and usually what happens though is not that type of transition, is what I'll call it. Usually it's I'll see like the little entities, as I call them. I say like the little mailroom workers, I'll jokingly call them sometimes. The little children like peeking at me around my corner, and I'm like, I will hit you. Like I'm a lot older now. I will hit you. Like if I can, I'm going to hit you. Like I'm very sassy in that regard. I find, but usually it's something like that. It's not like I hit the bed or I'm just there. Not at nighttime anyway. But so I remember I was I I'm about to hit my bed. I don't hit the bed, and it's like I transition and I'm on the ship, and I'm not laying down. I'm standing up, so it's kind of a like a very disorganized for a second in a sense, and
Hmm.
disgruntled. Um, and at this point, what I'm taking, it's very much I'm not apathetic to it. I'm not like, all right, I'll go sit down. You can poke and prod me. I'm more like just waiting for it to be over. And still, I'll tell people I'm still terrified of every single instance, every single instance that happens unless until I call a manual, I am utterly terrified. And even when it's him, I'm still got fear, but not near, nowhere near the amount. So I'm taken, and I'm just kind of like at this point standing. I go sit down because I realized I should just go, to get this over with quicker. I'm just gonna go do what I know I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna go sit down on whatever looks like an examination bed or whatever. Um, and that's always worked out for me. Quicken things up at least, I guess. But I sit down and they walk over, not talking. These ones, like the little ones, they don't talk to me. I don't know if they can or they cannot, whatever. They don't talk to me. And I'll make passing remark that feels like they are acknowledging what I'm saying, or they're just making noises or I don't know, nodding their head because I am making some type of sound to them. I don't know. So we sit down, one comes over to me, and I remember I was as usual, got a needle, and now the needle looks like the head of the needle, like very thin.
Hmm.
The actual part that's sticking there. It's like that, but the rest of the needle is it's hard to describe. It's almost like a. It's not always the same, but in this instance, it was almost like a translucent like glass that was around just the actual needle part of it,
Hmm. Hmm.
and it just looked like there was nothing there. I'm like, it just doesn't look like anything other than the needle. And I get some type of needle, and I'm laid down on my back, and my head is like this. So I'm just holding my head in place. I know there's no point in fighting anything, you know. And then not a needle, but a very long, um, I don't know how what you could say it is, but it's kind of like a very long, thin needle-like apparatus is put up, kind of like a fork. Think of it. It's got two prongs up my nose, all the way up, and it just keeps going, almost like I could feel it right here. And it gets pulled out, and there's like on each prong I had when it went up, I had a very, very, very intense, like squint in my eyes pain, incredible pain. And I always kind of jokingly say to people, it was kind of like, when they used to test you for COVID and the nurse went up a little bit too far up your
Hmm.
nose,
Hmm.
like that, and then pulled out and two blotches of what looked like flesh. Um, and then my mouth is open, and I don't have any teeth. I have a couple teeth down here. I had a lot of gum issues and that as a kid, and grew up poor. My parents couldn't afford the dentist, and I lost a lot of my teeth before I was even an adult. And which always seems to perplex them that I have these things in my mouth that are like I don't have all of them. My mouth is open, and the same thing is put in my mouth, but it's not two prongs, it's one prong. And that goes to the back. And again, besides my teeth, it seems like they're always perplexed that the back of my throat, I'm assuming, looks different to them than others because I don't have any adenoids or tonsils.
Hmm.
And I feel like they're noticing that maybe. Maybe that's just me. And the same type of instrument is put to the back of my throat. And I can feel it almost kind of like a tunnel snake is kind of similar, but it's a lot thinner. And it kind of goes back and up to that spot that, next to your nose. And it feels like it's moving, like kind of like that. And then it's pulled out, and it's almost like there's just a bunch of, I don't even know, blood, a little bit of skin, whatever, is on the head of this. And I remember laying there God knows, I don't know how long. It felt like eternity. And then all of a sudden, I felt like good. Like I felt, like I felt good. I didn't feel horrible anymore. No pain. And I remember like I kind of got up. I'm looking around. There's no one in the room. And I got up and I was like, well, I'm gonna go look around because I want to look around. I always have it in my mind that I'm gonna look around. I've never been able to take anything. It's like you gotta take something and they know something is on your person. It's like they can just tell or they scan or whatever.
Hmm.
I gotta go look around and I don't even make it to the door and I'm in my bed. And I'm like back home in my bed. Yeah,
Man, wow, that was 2 weeks ago.
yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't incredibly long, but
Hmm.
it was very intense. And I find I have a lot of instances where I'm taken that something in like my nose or my throat is taken or some type of whatever because I always have issues with my sinuses and I have chronic bronchitis.
Hmm.
So I find
Hmm.
like I'm always having, I guess, them check me out there. I don't know.
Hmm. Wow. Brother, I know we've only touched the surface tonight. I know but I think you've given us a real good picture of, the past 30 years, what you've experienced.
Yeah.
And and I want to thank you so much for being so
Hmm.
open, so honest. I know we've talked for quite a while previously before this, and this was the
Hmm.
moment that felt right. And I'm so glad that you came on, man, and shared these experiences. And as well, I think that obviously there's a lot more we can talk about as well. Like, I'd love to get you
Yeah.
back on and talk more. But I
Oh
think
yeah,
what
no,
what
yeah,
you've
for
given
sure.
us tonight has been very eye-opening, very interesting. And yeah, I just want to thank you so much for your time, man.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on. Like I told you, it's the first time I've ever done anything like this.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I come on again any other time you'd ask me because there's all kinds of things I could talk about, and there's things I wanted to talk about that I just didn't get to.
No, I know there's
Yeah.
there's there's been a lot going on. Like this is a
Hmm.
lifetime of experiences for you.
Hmm.
And the fact this is your first time as well, very impressive, man, because you spoke so clearly and with so much detail. And
Yeah, I think that's because like I'm always awake during them, and my whole life I've always done like public speaking, debating. I was always in like choir and vocal class, and I forced myself to go into dance classes. So
Mhm,
I've always been outgoing in that way, and I'm very analytical in a lot of ways. So it's not hard for me to explain things. It's
mhm,
hard for me to stay on track.
mhm.
I go in
No,
tangents a
you've
lot,
done really
but yeah,
well, man. Really well. Very
thank you.
interesting. Very interesting. And I think, it kind of fits like what we're saying. Are these things good or bad? We don't really know. We're still trying to
No.
work out exactly what their purpose is, what they're trying to do with us. And yeah, man, it fits with what's going on in the world right now, with what we're learning about abductions, and it's very interesting, man. It's very interesting.
Oh yeah.
It must be difficult. You've experienced a heck of a lot from a very
Hmm.
young age. It must be very difficult. And I really appreciate you sharing and opening up because I know it's not easy talking about this kind of stuff. So hopefully
Yeah, no,
you're going to help a lot of people that are also going through very similar stuff because we know that this stuff is a lot more common than people think it is.
it
Your
is,
average
and
person that doesn't look into this kind of stuff, you know, there's
yeah,
so
like
many
no,
people that experience this.
it's a lot more than people realize. And like
Hmm.
I've told you, like I like I don't promote myself. I don't try to make money off anything. One thing I do try to do is I always tell people, and I'm going to say here, um, like in doing this, and if you're like able to, you can post the episode, put like my Twitter because
Hmm.
I have spent my whole life talking to abductees, and I've talked to over 150 people,
Wow.
Since I'm a teenager, I've traveled to Herbert twice in Nova Scotia. I've talked to people there. There's a couple there I talked to that they died years ago. I've always talked to people. I don't like being that type of person that's say on Twitter and I'm I got like 40,000 views or whatever. I like here message me in my DM. This is my life. This is my schedule. I'll try to find time. If you need to talk to me because I know what this is like.
Hmm.
And that I always tell people I enjoy people like Richard Dolan, who I say is like the historian of ufology,
Hmm.
and I like cataloging people's abduction stories just in my brain. I don't write anything down. So if anyone ever needs help with this, I am definitely there. And I gotta say again, I love your pictures on the back. Every time I
Oh,
see
thank
them,
you,
I
man.
smirk. Yeah, every time I see them, I'm trying not to giggle because I absolutely love them.
They were done by Drewski, Cryptid Warfare podcast. He designed them and
Nice,
sent them over to me. He's such a cool dude. Awesome
nice.
stuff, man. Yeah. So I love him. I love him.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
bro,
No, it's this has been great, and I'm gonna DM you with any pictures
thank
that
you.
you want. I have a
Thank you,
bunch of
mate.
pictures now that
Thank
I
you
can get
very
you.
much. I'm so
Yeah, no,
glad
no
that we
problem.
got to do this, man. I'm so
Yep.
glad.
Oh yeah. So
And
much.
hopefully the first of many of these, we can do we
Oh
can
yeah.
do
No,
more.
I'll come out again.
We've only touched
Yeah,
the
I
surface, as we
definitely do.
say, and
Yeah.
very interesting. Thank you. Thank you very much, brother. I'll share your
Yeah. No.
Twitter in the
Yep.
show description so people can follow
Hmm.
you and interact with you right now.
Yep.
Yeah, just thank you so much for your time, man, and stay safe. I know
Yeah.
it must
No,
be
I
very
appreciate it, man.
difficult, but thank you
Oh
very
yeah. No,
much.
it is, but I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, and have a good night.
Thank you very much, brother. Guys, we hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, make sure you share it where you can. That is a great way to support the show. And we'll be back very soon for more freaky conversations. In the meantime, stay safe and keep it freaky. Bye for now. Thank you very much, sir.